Hi, it's Ryan from Knights Around a Table, and this is Splendor, a simple set collection game for 2 to 4 players. Let me show you how to play. You and your friends play rich Renaissance-era merchants, turning raw gems from mines into... You know what? Don't worry about it. The theme is completely tacked on and it doesn't matter at all. What you're doing is buying these cards using poker chips in various colors, and the cards themselves become a permanent currency that you can use to buy more and better cards at a discount. The first player to 15 prestige points triggers the end of the game, and you finish out the round. After all players have had the same number of turns, whichever player has the most points wins. Here's what the table looks like after setup. The game's currency are these gems: emeralds, diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and onyxes. These gold tokens are wild. The cards you're buying are set up in 3 rows, and the cards in each row get more and more expensive as you move up the table. The points each card is worth are listed at the top left. The cost of each card in gems is listed down one side. So this card costs 1 diamond, 1 sapphire, 1 emerald, and 1 ruby. These tiles across the top represent influential nobles. We'll talk about them shortly. On your turn, you can do one of 3 things: buy a card, reserve a card, or take more gems. You start the game completely broke, so you're going to want to take gems on your first turn. You can either take 3 differently colored gems, or you can take 2 gems of the same color, as long as there are at least 4 tokens of that color in the stack. So yes, you can take 2 rubies from this stack of 4, but the next player couldn't take 2 rubies because there are now fewer than 4 in the stack. You can have up to 10 gem tokens. If you ever take more than that, you have to give them back. And later in the game, if there aren't enough gems left, you may not be able to take your due. Gems are a limited resource. Once you spend a turn or 2 collecting gems, you can buy a card from the tableau. Pay however many gems the card costs back to the supply. Put the card in front of you, and pull a new card from that row's deck to fill the gap. As the game progresses, these decks may run out of cards. Like the gems, the cards are limited. The cool thing about buying cards is they become a permanent currency. So, when you buy this card, it becomes a permanent diamond. If you were to buy this card later on, it would only cost you 1 sapphire, 1 emerald, and 1 ruby, since your card covers off the diamond cost. As you buy more of these cards, you can stack them to get deeper discounts, to the point where you can eventually start buying cards from the table without actually spending any tokens. And of course, as you buy more expensive cards from higher rows, they're worth more points towards the 15-point total that ends the game. The third action you can choose to do on your turn is to reserve a card into your hand. You'll generally do this when there's a really good card on the table and you can't afford it yet, or if you see your opponent is about to buy a card and you want to stop him or her. Take the card from the table and put it in your hand, filling the gap with a new card if one is available. You also get to take 1 wild gold token when you do this. These wild tokens stand in for gems of any color. When you reserve a card, you can take a face-up or face-down card from any row you choose. Your hand limit is 3 cards. You can't discard a card. The only way to get rid of a card in your hand is to pay for it to put it out in front of you. Cards in your hand do not give you their listed discount. You have to pay to build them to get that. And wild gold tokens do count towards your limit of 10 tokens. These nobles are worth extra points. At the end of your turn, if you meet any of the prerequisites listed on a noble's tile, that noble comes and hangs out with you, giving you those extra points. Claiming a noble doesn't count as taking an action on your turn. And the prerequisites refer to the gem bonuses on the cards you've collected, not your gem tokens. If you qualify to claim more than one noble tile at the end of your turn, you just take one noble tile of your choice. You don't replace the noble tiles after they're taken like you do the cards. The first player to buy a card or claim a noble that puts his or her score at 15 prestige points or more triggers the end of the game. You finish out the round such that everyone has had the same number of turns for the entire game, and then you count up the final scores to see who's won. Because it is possible for somebody to overtake the points leader on their last turn. To set up the game, deal out 4 cards from each of the decks marked with 1, 2, and 3 white dots, with the priciest cards in the top row. Deal out player count +1 noble tiles and put the piles of gems on the table. In a 3-player game, get rid of 2 tokens of each gem color, excluding gold. In a 2-player game, get rid of 3 tokens in each pile, excluding gold. The youngest player goes first, and play continues clockwise. And now you're ready to play Splendor. Did you just watch that whole thing? Oh, hey, to 100% this video, click the badge to subscribe and then click the bell to get notifications when I've got new stuff.